Hi, so you're all very welcome to this Fulbright LLM Law Awards webinar. We'll be recording this webinar so you can review it on our YouTube channel afterwards. Today we're delighted to have three guest speakers. We have Gabriel Goodwin from the Indiana University Myra School of Law, Sean O'Brien from University of Notre Dame, and Elise Kramer from the UPenn Law School, University of Pennsylvania Law School. So each of those will be talking a little bit about the awards they have on offer in collaboration with Fulbright. Before they speak, I just want to give you a little bit of background to Fulbright and tell you a little bit about the application process for the Fulbright Award section of the application. So my name is Emma Loughney. I'm the Communications Manager with the Fulbright Commission in Ireland. And this year we have three Fulbright Law Awards on offer in collaboration with other universities in the US. So the first one is the Fulbright Student LLM Award at the Indiana University Myra School of Law. And this entitles the awardee to a full tuition waiver from Indiana University. The Fulbright University of Notre Dame Award in International Human Rights Law entitles the awardee to a full tuition waiver from University of Notre Dame for this course. And then we have an associated Fulbright Student LLM Award to the University of Pennsylvania Law School, and this entitles the awardee to a $30,000 tuition waiver from the University of Pennsylvania. I'm just going to unlock the meeting so everyone can join without me having to allow them in. Now, so in terms of the Fulbright Awards, okay, if you're applying for any of these awards, you're going to need to apply through the Fulbright Irish Commission, and you're also going to need to apply to your LLM program through the host university as well. In terms of the Fulbright Award application, we offer a monetary award to support your studies in the US. We offer visa administration, accident and emergency health insurance, orientation and programming, that's both here in Ireland, pre-departure orientation as well as orientation when you arrive in the US, and other programs like gateway programs and things like that in the US. We also provide support, so in the lead up to your award, if you're accepted on your award, then we will be here to support you during your time in the US as well. So I have actually done a webinar just last week about the general Fulbright Awards, so that might be helpful to some of you who haven't already reviewed all of the information on our website. So you can watch that back on our YouTube channel. It just gives a little bit more detail on the breakdown of how to apply for the Fulbright Awards aspect. So as many of you know, the application period for the Fulbright Awards for 2019-20 is open at the moment, and it closes on the 6th of November. In terms of eligibility for the Fulbright Irish Awards, you need to be an Irish citizen or a EU citizen who's been living in the Republic of Ireland for the past 3 or more consecutive years. You'll need a minimum 2-1 undergraduate degree in law, and a clear course of study. You need to demonstrate academic and personal excellence. You need a strong rationale for going to the US. So why is it you want to go to the US? Why couldn't you carry out your studies here in Ireland? You need to demonstrate strong leadership skills or potential, and that can be in your academic life or in your personal or social activities. You need to demonstrate understanding and commitment to the ethos of being a Fulbrighter. For the Fulbright application, this last point is particularly important. The Fulbright ethos is one of mutual kind of understanding through cultural and educational exchange. So if you go to the US on a Fulbright Award, we would expect you to act as ambassadors for Ireland and for Europe. We expect you to come back to Ireland afterwards and share the knowledge you've gained over in the US. So this is part of our 2-year home rule, so you need to be aware of this. When you go on a Fulbright Award, some people will go to do a master's for 1 year, some people will do a 2-year master's or a 5-year PhD. They can go and finish their studies, absolutely, but then afterwards you have to come home for 2 years, and this is part of your visa conditions, and it's also part of the kind of Fulbright ethos that you're bringing that knowledge you've gained back to Ireland when you've finished your award. US Irish dual citizens are not eligible for the Fulbright Awards, and neither are green card holders or those currently living in the US. And you can't have extensive experience of studying or living in the US. Now, if you've done a J1 or a summer in the US, don't worry about that. This is really only applicable if you've spent the last 4 out of 5 years, like done a degree recently in the US or something like that. As I said, the application period is now open. It will close on the 6th of November, and then shortlisting will take place between November and December. Interviews will be held in Dublin between January and February, and then offers are made in March to April. So you'd be going on your award. The earliest you'd be going would be August, September 2019. If you're successful in your application, you'll also be invited to a pre-departure orientation in June in Dublin, as well as an award ceremony. So there are 4 award categories for the Irish Fulbright Awards. Today we'll be concentrating on the Irish Student Awards, which are for postgraduate research or degree programs in the US. So if you're interested in doing an LLM program, you'll fall into the Irish Student Award category. So just a little bit more info on the Student Award category. This year we have a maximum stipend, monetary award of $35,000, okay? And that's a maximum. So this will depend on how long you intend to go to. If you're intending to do a full LLM program, then you'd be going for the kind of maximum period of time allowed on a Fulbright Award is 12 months. But it will depend on the cost of living, essentially. That's how the selection panel would assess how much of a stipend you need. So various criteria does apply to that. The maximum is $35,000. And for the degree courses, which most of you will be applying for if you're going for an LLM, you just need to carry out that application, complete that application through your US host institution separately to your Fulbright application, okay? So your first steps, if you haven't already gotten information from us about your Fulbright application, you just need to go on our website, fulbright.ie, go straight into the Going to the US section, then into the Irish Student Awards, and tab over onto the How to Apply section. And here you'll see the Register Your Interest Here link, and when you click on that, it will bring you into a form that will just ask you to fill out basic information about where you want to go, your home institution, and what you want to study. So fill that in, and then our awards managers will send you out the Irish Fulbright application guidelines, as well as the link to your online application. This is what our online application looks like. It's called Embark. This is a global application system, so it's really important that you print out those Irish Fulbright guidelines that our awards managers send you with this link, because there are guidelines on the global application, but they're very general, okay? So there are certain questions that you won't have to answer as you're applying through the Irish Awards about language proficiency and other things like that. So if you print out these guidelines, it will make your life a lot easier when you're going through the application, okay? And that would be one of the kind of most important tips for filling out our Fulbright application. So in terms of LLM award experiences, we've had a number of Fulbright awardees who've gone to do LLMs in the US, including Ruth Cormac, who went to Notre Dame a couple of years ago, and Rosemary Hannigan went to Penn Law. Myra Law have also supplied a great video about Irish students at their university, which is well worth watching. And we have a video on our YouTube channel, as well as our Fulbright YouTube channel, about Andrea Mulligan, who carried out an LLM in the US a number of years ago as well. So to find out more about the Fulbright aspect, I encourage you to go on to our YouTube channel, watch that general webinar just for a few more tips on applying for your Fulbright, and then subscribe to our e-news. If you are based in an Irish higher education institution, talk to a Fulbright campus ambassador. We have campus ambassadors at 20 institutions around the country. They're really good for mentoring you through your application process, so do go onto our website into the alumni section and check out if there's one available on your campus. And also you can talk to Fulbright alumni. So if any of the alumni on our website in the alumni section have gone to universities you want to go to, have similar interests in specialization in law, to you, I would encourage you to reach out to them and we can put you in touch. So just let us know. You can email awards@fulbright.ie and tell them that you want to reach out to some of our alumni. And that awards@fulbright.ie is going to be your key email contact for the duration of the application period, okay? So now I'm going to pass you over to our first guest speaker, Gabriel Goodwin from Myra School of Law. So Gabriel, I just pass over the presentation to you.
Great.
Great, and I can see your slides and I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you very much, Emma. My name is Gabriel Goodwin, and I'm the Director of Graduate Legal Studies here at the Myra School of Law. I also teach at the law school, working exclusively with our international students. And today I'm going to introduce a little bit about the law school, the various programs that we have, and a little bit about Bloomington, Indiana, which many of you may not have heard of before. Let's see. All right, so introducing some of our other staff here in the office, our Assistant Dean of International Programs is Leslie Davis, and then our Director of Graduate Admissions is Will Shad. He is the person that will likely take your applications and kind of guide you through the application process until you arrive here in Bloomington. So we are in Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, which is in southern Indiana. We call this the Midwest of the United States, when in fact it's not really the middle or the west. It's kind of the middle of the middle. But Indiana University was founded in 1842. The law school is the 9th oldest in the U.S., the 5th public U.S. law school established, and the 1st public law school established in the Midwest. Our location is actually pretty nice. It's not too far from a number of major cities. So Chicago is an easy 4-hour drive away. Indianapolis is the capital of Indiana, and that's about an hour. And it's easy also to via a short flight, get just about anywhere in the eastern U.S., and not too bad to fly over to the West Coast if that's something that you're interested in as well. Currently, Myra School of Law is ranked 32nd in the country, and it's ranked 11th among public law schools. We have some really amazing programs here, top-rated programs in IP law, international law, and our tax program keeps moving up and up in the rankings. We've got some wonderful faculty in tax. This just shows you some of the partnerships that we have with schools across the world. We tend to get a lot of students from all over the world, and occasionally send some of our American JD students abroad as well, which is wonderful. And then specifically, we have a pretty strong relationship with Irish law schools. So we've had 23 Irish students in the last 6 years. We've got links with Trinity and UCD. Currently, we have 3 or 4 Irish students in the program right now. We have what we call an Irish house, which is where some of our Irish students stay while they're here. And it's just a local house in Bloomington, not too far from the law school, that's really nice and convenient for everyone. The president of Ireland is an IU grad, got his Master of Arts in Sociology in 1967, so we're proud to claim him as a Hoosier. And then the community here in Bloomington, surprisingly, has a pretty strong contingent of Irish speakers and traditional music players, which is kind of interesting and a lot of fun. Emma mentioned before, there's a video from a couple of our Trinity students from a couple years ago that is available on YouTube. And I think this PowerPoint presentation will be available for anyone that wants links. So a little bit about Bloomington, the city itself. It's a really beautiful campus, amazing little college town. Not so little anymore, but a beautiful place to spend a year or more studying. You can see here the IU auditorium where some major musicals and lectures are given, an IU cinema that plays new documentary, popular movies, just about anything. And then our art museum that is currently being renovated and will be open next year. Farmers market in town, that's every Saturday. It's a fun place to hang out and see students and faculty. This is the view down Kirkwood Avenue looking away from campus. So you can see it really is a kind of a small town feel, a local feel. This is the courthouse in the square in the center of town. And Bloomington is also pretty well known for its music scene. We just had the Lotus World Music Festival last weekend, which was pretty amazing. We have concerts constantly, a famous bike race that you may know from a movie called Breaking Away. So a lot of stuff going on here in Bloomington all the time. Some programs and centers at the law school and that students can be involved with. So we have a pretty well-known JD MBA program with Kelley School of Business, which is in the picture here. The Center for Constitutional Democracy does some amazing work, and that's affiliated with the law school, and we have a lot of law students that work with the center. The Center on the Global Legal Profession provides Stewart Fellowships for students to do internships all around the world. The Center for Intellectual Property Research is amazing, the work that they do. Students absolutely can get involved in that. A lot of our students do public service. There's pro bono work available, internships, lots of things for everyone to get involved with. One of them, for example, is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, where students help people to do their taxes and offer this service to the community. So specifically about our graduate programs, the entering class this year, we had 54 graduate and exchange students. So we have a number of LLM students, SJD students, MCL, and then quite a few exchange students coming from all over. 25 countries represented, and that's pretty typical, students from everywhere. In addition to the traditional LLM, we offer a variety of different programs, so LLM with thesis, the Master of Comparative Law. There are some certificate programs, so Certificate in Legal Studies, Certificate in Cybersecurity Law, Certificate in Information Privacy Law. Those are fairly new and really fantastic. The Indiana University is really a leader in this area of cybersecurity and information privacy. There's a new Master of Science in Cybersecurity Risk Management, which is a combination with the Myra School of Law, the Kelley School of Business, and the Informatics Department. You can do a concentration in law if that's something you're interested in. Our SJD program brings in a lot of doctoral students as well as the PhD in law and democracy. And then we have a program that allows students to move from the LLM to the JD sometimes with advanced standing so that you can finish both programs in 3 years. For the general LLM, you have an opportunity to choose whichever classes you want, and there are just a couple of required courses, and otherwise everything is open to you. You also have the option of doing a specialization, and we have 6 areas of specialization. 12 credits are required to complete a specialty, leaving 12 credits open for other coursework. And your academic advisor, that's me, meets with all students to help you plan your program. These are the specializations that we have currently. Business and commercial law is one of the most popular. Information privacy and cybersecurity, the IP, all of these, we have students in all of them, and probably the majority of students do specialize in something. We've been rated recently with an A+ ranking in 4 categories, which we're really proud of. We agree that these areas are outstanding at Myra School of Law. A few other program highlights, definitely a lot of diversity represented at the law school. All students take classes together, no matter what program you're in. There are a few classes that are restricted to LLM students or restricted to JD students, but those are very few. We offer a high-ranking law school at quite a low cost, and I think this is really important. Being in the Midwest, and all of the speakers here today are from the Midwest, so they share this, that it's a much, much lower cost of living rather than, say, in the East Coast or West Coast. We tend to have small classes, and one big thing that I really like about living in Bloomington, we have quite a few international restaurants just a short walk from the law school. So it's a fun place to be, and an opportunity to try everything from everywhere. Some numbers representing tuition and fees and things like that. This, as I said, this PowerPoint, I think this information is going to be available so you can study it more carefully.
Yeah.
But just a quick price comparison, as I mentioned, East Coast, West Coast versus living in Bloomington, you can see that the cost of living is quite a bit lower, especially when it comes to where you're living. So that's a big advantage when you're already investing quite a bit of money into a program. So the offer with Fulbright Ireland, Emma has talked quite a bit about all of this, and it's really, I think, a fantastic opportunity. One lucky person will receive a full tuition grant, but it's also possible for others to apply and receive scholarships as well. So we would encourage anyone that's interested to try and let us know what kind of financial aid you need. We have a variety of scholarships available for merit as well as need-based and diversity-based as well. So we'd be happy to take your application and consider it. That's it for me. Thank you.
Fantastic, Gabriel. Thank you so much for that. Great insight into Myra School of Law and some great programs available. I'm just going to take back the presenter role now so I could introduce Sean O'Brien from University of Notre Dame. And Sean, I will just pass over the presenter to your screen. So go ahead.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you to my colleagues at these wonderful LLM programs. Lots of great opportunities for all of the Irish students applying this year. My name is Sean O'Brien, and I am the director of the LLM program in International Human Rights Law here at Notre Dame Law School, and I teach in that program as well for the last 14 years. Our program is a little bit of a different beast than the other programs you'll hear about today because we're focused exclusively on international human rights law. We're the first and one of the only programs in the States to have this exclusive focus on preparing lawyers with the knowledge and the skills that they need to be better human rights advocates. And we have this focus because of our history. The Clow Center for Civil and Human Rights is a joint host of the LLM in human rights, the Clow Center and Notre Dame Law School. Our program, our Clow Center rather, was founded in 1973 by Father Ted Hesburgh when he was fired from his role as the chair of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, which is similar in many ways to the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission that you might be familiar with. The LLM itself was founded in 1988 when Father Hesburgh, who you see pictured here with Martin Luther King Jr. at a rally at Soldier Field in Chicago, when Father Hesburgh traveled to South Africa to meet with his friend, the jurist Judge Richard Goldstone, who's gone on to very impressive international work that you are no doubt familiar with. And he asked Judge Goldstone, who was one of the only judges using his judgeship to attack apartheid from the inside, he said, "What can we do, Judge Goldstone, at Notre Dame to assist you in your struggle against apartheid?" And Goldstone's answer was very clear and direct. He said, "Educate our lawyers." And so beginning in 1988 with South African lawyers, soon thereafter with Chilean lawyers, and now with lawyers from all over the world, we've welcomed human rights lawyers to Notre Dame for a 1-year or 9-month academic year program focused on human rights law. And we've educated now more than 400 lawyers from over 100 countries, and you can see a little bit about their geographic spread here on the law school, on the Clow Center's page. You can see a map of these 400 lawyers and where they're from, including our one lawyer in our program from Ireland, Ruth Cormac, who graduated in 2017. I'll tell you a little bit more about Ruth in a little while. And also on this page, you can see the past classes and their biographies, and you can see a little bit about what our lawyers are doing now that have graduated from our programs. They're justices at constitutional courts, they're prosecutors at the International Criminal Court, they are staff attorneys at different regional tribunals like the European Court of Human Rights or the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. They work in Geneva at the Office of the High Commissioner, or they work for government or for NGOs. And you can kind of get a glimpse of what the impact of this degree is by looking at this page, which lists all the different types of positions currently held by our alumni. As I mentioned, the law degree, the LLM degree, is a joint program of this Clow Center and the Notre Dame Law School. And so now I'd like to move from the web page of the Clow Center over to the law school web page, and this is where you'll find a little bit more about our current class, a little bit more information about the LLM program, including how to apply. If you look at the LLM degree page, you'll see that we have a number of LLM programs, but the one I'm here to talk about, and the one for which we have the full scholarship with Fulbright Ireland, is the International Human Rights Law degree. So if you click there, you can see our current class. We have 18 lawyers from 14 countries in the program this year. You can read their profiles, and what I hope emerges if you do read their profiles is that we have a wide variety of experience and understandings of what human rights entails. Some with years in the human rights field under their belts already, others who are just at the very beginning of their careers and are coming to Notre Dame for a transformative experience to help launch their work in human rights. I hope that you see yourselves in these profiles of lawyers and your own experiences in their biographies. What you'll also see is that we put together a class with incredible geographic diversity. And I think this is important. You may be able to study human rights at other universities in Ireland or in places in Europe, but there is nowhere else that brings together a group of human rights lawyers from Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and yes, from all across Europe as well. And we do this every year very intentionally to form a community of lawyers from around the globe. If you go back to the LLM page, you can check out what are these students doing at Notre Dame. Well, they're studying. What's their curriculum? In the fall semester, we have a set of prescribed courses: international law, international human rights research and writing, foundations of international human rights law, which is like an introduction to the idea and the legal and moral underpinnings of the idea of human rights, and then a class on accountability for gross human rights violations, which is like a transitional justice class. How do regimes, how do new governments move on from the crimes committed by prior regimes, prior governments? So you'll see you have 4 required courses in the fall focusing on human rights. You'll take these courses with the other LLM students and some intrepid JD students who are also interested in human rights. That leaves you with time for an elective. And there are electives on human rights and beyond in the law school that you can take, but you can also move outside of the law school and take courses that are somehow related to human rights or to your work specifically in any other department here at the university. The spring semester repeats itself with a couple of required courses on human rights practice. I teach that course, how to engage effectively with UN human rights mechanisms, and then a course on regional human rights protection, comparing the European system and the Inter-American system and the African regional human rights system. In the spring, you have much more flexibility in terms of electives, which can, again, be taken within the law school or can be taken outside of the law school in any other department on campus. And one of those places that you might take other courses is the Keough School of Global Affairs, which is our newest school at Notre Dame. And the Clough Center is part of the Keough School. And the Keough School brings together, you can see there's a strong human rights focus at the Keough School. The web page announcing the hire of a new human rights faculty member, Diane Desierto, and the major endowment of our Clough Human Rights Center. But the Keough School brings together about 7 or 8 other existing international departments or institutes here on campus. The Clough Center is one of them, but there's also the Kellogg Institute for International Studies that focuses on democracy and development. There's the famous Kroc Institute for International Peace Studies, which offers classes on conflict transformation and the pursuit of peace. There are regional centers on Asian studies and European studies. You can take courses in all of these institutes. And then there's also the Keough Naughton Institute for Irish Studies here at Notre Dame. The Keough Naughton Institute was founded in 1993 by Seamus Dean. I personally studied with Seamus Dean and Seamus Heaney at Notre Dame, and their legacy continues here with one of the top centers in the world for the study of Irish language, history, and culture. You might have heard about the Keough Naughton Institute because they were the producers of the 1916 film on the 1916 Irish Rebellion that was produced and narrated by Liam Neeson and shown on RTE, and was the winner of the Best Documentary Series and the 2016 Irish Film and Television Awards. The faculty of the Irish Institute includes the proud IU alumnus President Michael Higgins, who has adjunct taught there. Mary McAleese had dinner with last year while she was teaching here in the law school as a visitor. Mary Robinson has taught here as well. Mary McAleese teaching on children's rights here in the law school. And Notre Dame has a growing presence in Ireland as well, with dozens of Notre Dame students studying at UCD and at Trinity College through our program at O'Connell House on Marion Square. And also at studying in Galway and living in the west of Ireland, in Connemara, at Kylemore Abbey, which is where Notre Dame runs its programs in the west of Ireland. So there is a strong presence of Irish and a history of Irish and Notre Dame interaction that goes back to the 19th century. I could go into that more, but we'll go and talk now about what else we offer, which is internships after graduation. So if you go to our law school webpage again and look at the LLM program in human rights, it will describe the internship program that we have for our graduates of our program. So not only can you come to Notre Dame on a scholarship and do this 9-month intensive study of international human rights law, but we also have funding for our graduates to seek internships at an appropriate human rights institution or NGO. In recent years, we've had lawyers go to the Office of the High Commissioner in Geneva, to Human Rights Watch, to the Khmer Rouge Tribunal, to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, the European Court, the OSCE, lots of different placements that we use our alumni, more than 400 graduates of this human rights program, to help us locate the type of internship that's going to give you that experience to launch your career in human rights. I'd like to close with just talking about Ruth Cormac. Ruth was the inaugural recipient of the Irish Fulbright Award here at Notre Dame. And if you just Google her name, which is fun, Ruth Cormac and Notre Dame, what will come up is her biography. And you can read that she studied at NUI Galway and graduated in 2016. And then did some internships before coming to Notre Dame. And then while she was at Notre Dame, she studied business and human rights. She traveled to London and Geneva with one of our faculty members working on the negotiations of a treaty surrounding business and human rights. And then for her internship, she went to work with the Irish Foreign Ministry and their mission in Geneva, and then after that experience was hired by the UN, the Irish Permanent Mission to Geneva. And it's fun if you Google, as I said, her name and look up her LinkedIn profile. It's great to see that here she was before Notre Dame. She was waitressing at Moran's Oyster Cottage in Galway, and then came to Notre Dame, did this degree, did the internship that we provided the funding for, and now she represents Ireland before the human rights mechanisms in Geneva. She's the human rights attaché to the permanent mission of Ireland to the UN in Geneva. And back to the Google search here, these videos are of her actually making interventions at the Human Rights Council 1 year after she graduated from Notre Dame. I think that in a nutshell, or should I say in an oyster shell, is what our human rights program at Notre Dame can do for you. This is the type of transformative effect it can have on your trajectory. How do you apply? How do you do what Ruth did? Well, you just visit our website, and there's a very simple application process through the LSAC law school application platform, very clearly laid out on the website. And my email address is on there as well, where I can be reached and be happy to answer any questions that you might have. We'd love to have Irish lawyers join us here in the home of the Fighting Irish, the University of Notre Dame. Thank you, Emma.
Thanks so much, Sean. That's fantastic, and great to hear that Ruth is doing so fantastically after her award. So now our last speaker is going to be Elise Kramer from the Pennsylvania Law School.
The University of Pennsylvania, which is located in Philadelphia, which is, I believe, now the 6th largest city. It is a huge city. It is on the East Coast. I would say, because I listened carefully to the wonderful presentations, is of all the major East Coast, West Coast cities, it is one of the most affordable, which is really lucky for our students and lucky for those of us who live there. So let's switch to the next slide, please.
2 seconds. There we are.
And so I just wanted to step back for a moment and kind of say, why would you leave your beautiful country and come to the U.S. to do an LLM, and especially at this time, at this unique political time. And our view here is that despite the rise of nationalism and insular identities all around, ideologies all around the world, ultimately law and business are really global endeavors, and that's not going to go backwards. And why the U.S.? The U.S. legal education is unique both in its rigor and its approach. We use Socratic method, and it's very different even than legal education in other common law countries. And also coming to the U.S. beyond the academics, it's really an opportunity to build relationships and cultural competencies, both in terms of with the U.S., with folks in the U.S., with the JDs, but also a program like Penn's, you're going to be dealing with folks from 30 to 40 different countries, and those relationships that you build are going to enrich your personal life and also be valuable business contacts throughout your career. So next slide. So why Penn? There's a lot of terrific programs in the U.S., including the two that were presented today. So Penn Law has world-class faculty. It's really an internationally known law school. It's currently, I think, number 7 in on the U.S. News and World Report. So it attracts really just world-class faculty, world-class students, world-class speakers. But at the same time, we really, really, really value a culture of collegiality, and I think that's what sets us apart with some of the very, very top law schools. It's a place where people come to collaborate, to work together, and to support one another. Another thing that's unique about our program is that we offer a Wharton Business and Law Certificate. I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on. And just Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a fun place to live, and I'll talk a little bit more about these as we go along. If you could advance the slide, that would be great, Emma. So let's talk about the academic excellence in the program that you would do here. If you come for the LLM, our LLM program starts the last Friday in July, a little on the early side, but that offers our LLM students sort of an extra 5 credits. They get to do their U.S. law, U.S. legal research work together during the summer. They're basically the only folks in the building, and in addition to that, we just do all sorts of really fun stuff. We do team building, we go on trips, we do professional development, and it's really an opportunity for the students, the LLMs, to really bond with one another. It also frees up students to take whatever they want. That's the only required courses. And after that, you can take whatever it is you would like to do with the rest of your time here. You have to take another 19 credits, but you can take another 24 or more if you want. Many students do specialize in, corporate law, IP law, human rights law, employment law, criminal law. All those programs and many more are really, it's a top-notch university with a law school with that's, got excellent programming in all these areas. We have clinics, we have law reviews you can get involved in. Our classes are with the JD classmates. You can take not only classes at Wharton, but at any of the other 10 sister schools. And we're all on one campus in a city, so that it's really easy to kind of make that happen. So if you could advance the slide, Emma. So beyond the classroom, as I mentioned, it's really a collegial place. The students really enjoy one another. Some of the things students do together are pro bono projects. Actually, Penn Law was the first law school to mandate that all JD students complete 70 hours of pro bono work. While they're here, we have a particularly robust pro bono office. It's actually Pro Bono Week here at the law school, and we have programming all day, every day. A couple of years ago, one of my classmates, I graduated 25 years ago, and one of my classmates, Christina Swarns, who's a very, very well-known lawyer in the U.S. who handles death penalty cases and is the head of, was with the NAACP and now is the head of appeals for death penalty group, came for the week to meet with students to do programming. And on sort of the other end of the spectrum today at the law school, I just noticed another one of my classmates, whose name is Jay Clayton. He is currently the head of the SEC in the U.S., and he's here to he's on a panel with one of the heads of the Delaware Supreme Court, and is being moderated by a professor here. So we really have all sorts of stuff going on. We have a dedicated career counselor. We have lots of trips to courts, to bar association events. We have a human rights scholar every year, and the Bar Association does an event to honor her and her counterparts at a couple of other local law schools. We have lots of clubs. Philly's a really fun city. There's everything from our football. It's not soccer football, U.S. football. The Eagles won last year. It was really big, the Super Bowl. So it's a world-class city where you can really do anything. Moving on. So this is just a picture of the campus. That's Benjamin Franklin, I believe, who founded the University of Pennsylvania in the 1600s. I know by Irish standards that's nothing, but by the U.S. it's kind of a big deal. One of the signers of the Constitution, James Wilson, started the law school, and our LLM program's over 100 years old. All right, next slide. So this is a picture of one of the buildings at Wharton. About half our students take advantage of our Wharton Business and Law Certificate. It's a program that's designed and taught by Wharton faculty. This building, where it is about a 10-minute walk from the law school, depending on how quickly you walk. And LLMs who enroll are automatically eligible to participate in this certificate. There's no extra screening, and about half the class does every year. There is an additional tuition for it. Next slide, please. So here's Philly. This is, I love this picture. This is our city hall, and on top of it is William Penn. And it used to be, until about 20 years ago, there was a gentleman's agreement that no one could build a building higher than William Penn. And that has changed, and the city is it's really been booming for the past 20 years, and it's filled with skyscrapers, as well as a lot of other things. So by U.S. standards, it's historic. Hip. It's a very up-and-coming city. We keep getting named by magazines, as like the new up-and-coming fun city. It's pretty, we have safe neighborhoods. People often ask, because it's a big city, oh, what about housing? And you can live on campus. There's plenty of on-campus housing, but most of our LLM students choose to just live locally because the housing market is pretty affordable, which is one of the things that has kept Philadelphia pretty livable. It's also very close to New York and D.C., depending on if you want to take the cheap bus or a more expensive train. You can get to New York in an hour or two, and to D.C. in 2 or 3 hours. And the law school is a short train ride to an international airport, which takes you anywhere. We're also near beaches, lakes, just you can ski. You know, it's a pretty convenient place. Next slide, please. This is just to get a sense. This is the current class. It's somewhat typical. So 116 students, that's usually it. We usually have students from between 30 and 40 different countries all around the world. It really varies depending on sort of trends, how strong the U.S. dollar is in different places. But it's a pretty diverse place. Next slide. And then here is a picture of our class during the summer program. So you can see the summer program is a particularly fun time. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but we do also have had a pretty special relationship with Ireland over the years. Mary Robinson was our commencement speaker, not this past year, but the year before. We also, we're very robust in business and IP and antitrust, but we also have the Quattrone Center here, which is a relatively new center which has gained a lot of momentum and recognition. It's looking into how criminal justice can be changed, and if you're a fan of John Legend, the performer, he's on that board. Our human rights scholars have ended up in all sorts of interesting places on constitutional courts. I just got an email today from our LLM human rights scholar, Amanda, who graduated not this past year but the year before, and through Penn and her own tremendous qualifications, she got a job with the UN in Kenya, and she just started this past Monday at the UN in a permanent position working for the UN Department of Peacekeeping Operations. So our students and our alumni really are incredibly diverse in where they come from and what they end up doing. And to apply, you just need to go to our website, at grad programs, or you can just go through LSAC. It's a pretty basic application, and I would be delighted to talk to anyone who has any questions after the program. You can find our contact information on our website. So thank you for your patience, especially with my tech challenges, and we're just delighted that Fulbright continues to work with us, and we're always delighted to have promising Irish LLM students at Penn Law.
Thank you so much, Elise. That's fantastic. Great look at Penn Law School. So just before I go on, if any of the participants do have questions, there's a chat box just should be kind of at the top of your screen or in your Join Me app there on your screen, and you can type into the chat box if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask of our presenters or of me. And we will, as the presenters were saying earlier, I will circulate the recording of this webinar to you all and to everyone else who registered for the webinar, and there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. But if you have anything now that you would like to ask of the presenters directly, there's a few minutes left. We're happy to hang on. I suppose from the Fulbright perspective, if you are planning to apply for a Fulbright LLM, we would advise that you get moving on your referees first, I suppose, or as a matter of urgency. You have nearly another 5 weeks to apply now before the deadline, but in terms of your referees, you want to give them a little bit of notice, and they have to submit their references directly to that online application form, Embark, and it's your responsibility to follow up with them and make sure they have those all in by deadlines. So it's a good idea just to give them maybe a slightly earlier deadline, so you don't have to worry about that in your last week when you're getting all your information finalized. Apart from that, just have a look at your essays. Many of your essays might be used in your applications for the colleges as well. So I don't think there's any questions coming in right now. So I might say thank you so much to all our presenters. it's fantastic to hear from you again. I'm more and more impressed every year with all your alumni and the beautiful pictures of your colleges, and it makes me want to go over and do an award myself. But thank you so much for joining us. And what I'll do is, as I say, I'll circulate the recording to all the participants and people who registered, and maybe we'll include some contact details for each of the speakers as well, if you're happy for us to do so.
That would be great.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much to Gabrielle and her team, to Sean and to Elise, and we hope to see lots of applications for the LLM programs this year. And thank you to all our participants today. Okay, good evening. Have a nice evening. Bye now.
Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.